Hey everyone, I'm Jill the Wandering Stamper, and I hope you're having a fabulous day. I've got my Halloween shirt on today because we're only a couple of days from Halloween and I'm going to see my grandkids later, so I thought they'd get a kick out of it. But today I wanted to make a Christmas card. This will be the first Christmas card tutorial of the season, but don't fret if you're not a Christmas person or you're not ready to do cards, because this bridge fold card is is a sort of fold that everyone needs to know how to do. It's one of those folds that if you need some cards quickly, you can make a really cool, impressive card for someone, but it's super simple. And it's a great way to use your scraps as well. Most of what I'm using today are scraps of paper. So thanks for joining me today. Let me take a moment to turn down the camera and I'll show you how to make this simple card. Here's what we're using today. I am in love with the Jar of Joy. I love the Sweet Jar stamp set, and I've been playing around with it and making lots of cards for people lately. And in the mini catalog, or I believe it's a mini catalog, not an online exclusive, the Jar of Joy set coordinates with that same punch. So if you have the bundle and you have that Jar of Joy, that Sweet Jar punch that goes with it, it works on this. So if you have both of these stamp sets, let me tell you, you've got something you can use all year round. Here is the Sweet Jar set. So we could make this get well card. St. Patrick's Day, I had to think about what that holiday was. St. Patrick's Day. There's fills for the hearts. I believe this may also work okay for the flowers. You've got these little pills, or they could be candies. I mean, there's lots of versatility. There's whatever this is, and it could be snow for this guy too if you wanted a different kind of snow. There's just so many things. Candles, I've used the candles several times for birthday cards, lots of sayings. So this is a great set for all year round. And then when you have this one for holidays, you've got something you can use so much. And may your heart be filled with joy. That could be a wedding. That could be a celebration card. These cookies are pretty Christmassy, but you've got another jar and you've got other ways that you can do these. So you could use this little snowman and make it a kid's birthday card that maybe is a winter holiday. So just think outside the box. But when you have both of these, you've got something you can use all year round. So I just wanted to show that off. We're also going to be using a couple of dies from the Stylish Shapes dies. I use these constantly. So if you are needing a really good go-to die set while these are still available, these Stylish Shape dies are fabulous. I mean, look, this is like basic stuff that you can use for any card you make. So these are so useful. I can't express that enough. So check these out. We're also using some of these floral accents. These flower accents, I don't know, they don't look very much like flowers to me, but they're just really super pretty, and they're gold, so they're going to go with our paper really well. So we have those. I grabbed a piece of retired cranberry cherry cobbler ribbon. So use whatever ribbon, white ribbon. There's lots of current ribbons that are beautiful. There's some red ribbon now that's available. I'm trying to use up this cherry cobbler, so that's what I'm using today. It's okay. And then I have lots of scraps. So I already did some die cutting with those dies, and I'll show you why I did that in a little bit. And then I grabbed scraps of this beautiful designer series paper. It carried over from last year, and I'm so happy about that because I used it so much last year. It's called Seasons of Elegance, and it has red, pretty peacock, it has old olive, and it has these tan colors. And then, I mean, look at these. These can be used all year round, and they're super, super pretty for holiday cards as well, or any kind of card you want to glam up. So I just grabbed scraps because that's all I need. I have some basic white, some crumb cake, which really goes well with red for the holidays, and it kind of brings in my gingerbread man in my stamp that I'm using. And then I have some of that metallic gold. I know that's super shiny on your screen. Not much I can do about that, but I wanted to show you what we're working with before we get started. So a bridge card is very versatile. You can change where the bridge goes. You can move it around. It's something that you can use all year, and it's a great way to use scraps because you don't really use any big pieces of paper. So we're going to start out with our base. So I've grabbed a scrap of crumb cake, and we're going to cut that at 4 1/4 by 8. And this is an 8.5 by 11, so I'm just going to cut off a 1/2 inch because I know it's an 8.5 inch piece of paper. So doing that. Now we're going to do some scoring. So I'm going to pull that arm out, which is what's great about our cutter is it has a really long arm for scoring. So we're going to score at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 5 1/2, and 6 3/4. Super simple. All right, and when this gets folded, we are folding it like this. So we've got 2 valley folds, 2 mountain folds. All right, that's it. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut panels that go on these 4 pieces. They're all exactly the same size. So you can mix and match and do this any way you want. Sometimes I put mats behind them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I add multiple layers. Sometimes I don't put anything on the panel. So really, really versatile. But I'm going to glam this card up. So we're going to start out with a layer of this pretty metallic gold. And we're going to make that 1 by 4. And I am going to need 2 because I'm only going to put these on the very front panel. So I'm going to cut 2 of these. And when I cut these, I like to kind of lay them out where I want them to go ahead of time, so I kind of have my visual. So these are going to go right here, and then I'm going to have 2 pieces in the middle. So now I'm going to grab those scraps I have, and we're going to do those 3 and 7. We're going to do those 7/8 by 3 7/8. So just slightly smaller. So I'm just going to grab these, and they're perfect. 7/8 by 3 7/8, and that's going to be for one piece, and then I'm going to do the other one. So I'm just really using up these scraps, and I love that because I always have so many scraps, and I don't know if it's just a me problem, but I save way too many scraps because I always think I can use that, it's just so pretty. So there's 2, and then the ones that I put in the middle, I'm not going to put the gold piece because you're really not going to see it that much. So I'm just going to cut 2 more, but I'm going to make these 2 1 by 4. You could do 3 7/8, but I'm going to do 1 by 4, and I'm not going to put the gold behind it. That's why I'm making it a little bigger. All right, I probably should have cut the 4 first. So there's one, and there's the other. All right. So these 2 will go in the middle right there. All right. So let's move all of these scraps out of the way. And see, I see these little squares and I'm like, oh, but I got to keep them. I might use them. I don't know. I think I might have a problem. All right. So I've got these 4 pieces. I'm going to set these over here. And now we need our piece for the center. So I'm going to do some cherry cobbler, look, another scrap, and that cherry cobbler is going to be 2 3/4 by 4. So I know that's 4. So I'm going to do 2 3/4 by 4 inches. All right, and now I'm going to do a layer of basic white to put on this. So where is, I might be out of, thought I had some, I do have a scrap, look at that. All right, and so now I'm going to make one that is 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. So I am just using up scraps. So far everything we've used is a scrap. All right. So there's our middle, and it's going to layer on there just perfectly. Now, if you like to write a lot on your cards, you are going to have a bridge across here. Make a second set, and you can pop that on the back so you can write more on your card. That's totally fine. I do that on so many of my cards. All right, the last piece I'm going to add. Now, typically I would make it the same color as my base and do crumb cake, but I'm going to go ahead and do cherry cobbler because I feel like it really pops out nicely. So let's see. I probably have a scrap. I do. I have all kinds of scraps in here. So we're just going to grab another scrap. And I'm going to make my bridge 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. Let's make sure I have 5 1/2 here. Oh, and it's exactly 5 1/2. That was nice. All right, 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm going to add one more piece of that beautiful gold. Whoops, bumped my camera. I apologize. And I'm going to cut that one . 1 by 5 1/4. I know I'm going to be making another card, so I just went ahead and made it way long because I'm probably going to be using some more of this. All right, so there we go. So there are all our pieces. I already did my die cutting, so we're going to get this out of the way. So we've got our base, we've got our 4 panels, and I like to put them in their order so I know what I'm doing ahead of time. And then we have our bridge, okay? And then we have the 3 pieces that we cut for the front, all right? So let's go ahead and do some stamping. I am going to grab my cherry cobbler and my crumb cake for stamping. And then I'm also going to grab smoky slate. I could do my jar in Memento ink, but I want the jar to kind of look subtle, so I'm going to use the smoky slate for that. All right, so we're going to grab our stamp set, and I'm going to grab the jar and my blocks. My blocks need to be cleaned. They've been well loved lately. All right, and I'm going to grab that cute little, oh, this is the wrong set. Isn't that funny? I grabbed the sweet jar set. I mean, the jar is the same no matter what, but it helps to grab the right one. All right. So we've got our jar stamp. And then while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and grab out the pieces for the gingerbread and the piece that I'm going to use for my wording. Okay? So we'll have that all out. And grab that, and we'll grab this. I love just getting everything mounted ahead of time. It's just easier for me. I should have done this before I went on camera. Okay, we're going to start out with our jar. So I'm just going to grab, again, some scraps. So here's a scrap. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this jar. I hope I am not shaking. I am doing laundry, and the spin cycle in my RV is insane. We are pretty level, so we shouldn't be shaking too much, but when it's on spin mode, it sometimes shakes a little bit. I gotta get my laundry done. All right, enough of that one. So I'm going to set that, again, that was smoky slate. All right, now I'm going to grab my crumb cake, and look at this, made them stick together. I'm going to grab my crumb cake, and then I'm going to grab my gingerbread stamp. It doesn't really matter what order I do these in, but you may have a preference of which one you do first. This works for me, so I'm doing it. So I'm just going to stamp that. Look how cute that is. That's cute all by itself. And you could actually take your Stampin' Blends and make them all different colors and color in the details. But they gave you the perfect stamp for that. So we're going to use it. So now I'm going to ink up the other part of the stamp, and this is going to put all those details in it. I think I'm going to have to stand up here so I can see what I'm doing. All right, let's see. There's a glare. All right. So you just kind of have to line these up. I kind of look at the dots on the gingerbread man, and kind of use his bow tie and his dots for that, and it comes out pretty good every time. So just kind of line your stamp image up with the 2 dots here on his chest and his little bow tie, and everything kind of works out. That's my little trick for getting that to work. All right, so that's done. And then while we're in here, let's go ahead and do the rest of our stamping. So I grabbed the sentiment that says, wishing you the sweetest Christmas, but I want to do some masking because I don't want to put all of it on one spot. So I'm going to put a little piece of tape right above the wishing you, and I'm just going to stamp the Sweet Christmas really well, and then I'm just going to peel that off because we don't want any ink on our paper. Have you ever forgotten to peel that off? Oh, I have, and it's so annoying. And then I'm going to pop this on my card just like that. See how easy that is? All right, I'm going to clean this off really well. Make sure it's clean. All right, now I'm going to stamp on this one, and I'm going to do the opposite. I'm just going to do the wishing you the, but because that's at the top and it's very straight, it's pretty easy to just ink it up. So I'm going to ink that one up without masking and just pop it right there. Okay, just like that. All right, you can get a lot out of your stamps when you do that. So that is all of our stamping. Put my tape away. And now we're going to go ahead and work back on this jar. So I'm going to grab that punch. The punch is super simple. And we're just going to line it up. My piece of paper is not very big, but I'm really trying to, I have way too many white paper scraps. All right, so that is that. There's our jar. And then I'm going to throw the scrap away, and you end up with the little top, but I don't want that because I'm going to use a scrap of gold and cut mine out of that. So there you go. There's our gold. So I'm still only using scraps, which is great. All right, so we have that and we have that. So let's go ahead and put this card together. So let me grab my silicone craft sheet, and I'm going to go ahead and put this little lid on this jar, and what I'm going to do is just put a thin stream of multi-purpose glue, which is what I fill this with, this glue press. This glue press comes from my Sweet Petunia. I'm not an affiliate, but I absolutely love the glue press because it allows you to really just put a small amount of glue on everything. My glue goes so much further, and I just fill it with my multi-purpose liquid glue. It does come with a bottle of Nuvo glue when you first buy it. But once that's out, I just fill it with my multi-purpose liquid glue. I'm grabbing a baby wipe here because I got a little glue on the gold. So this gold, you can just wipe it off. One of my wonderful customers the other day told me that rubbing alcohol works really great too to get glue residue off of the metallic papers. I just don't have any in here. I need to get some, but if you use a baby wipe, that also works. All right, that's good. So now we're going to go ahead, let's go ahead and put this piece together. So what I want to do is just kind of layer these together, and I could put this wishing you, I think I'm going to do a little cockeyed like that. So I'm going to start out by adding a little glue on the back of this piece and popping it on. I want a little bit to show over here, but I want more to show over here. So that's how I'm putting it on there. And then I'm going to just add a little glue here. And this is where you kind of need to make a decision on where you want your words. And I want mine to be a little crooked. So I'm going to put it on like that. And then I'm just going to adjust this and make sure it's centered. So that looks really good. And then we're going to add our jar, but I think I'm going to add it with some dimensionals to let it pop up. We don't have a real heavy card, so we have room to do that. This is not very bulky. There goes my spin cycle again, if anybody is noticing any jiggling. I guess I should have waited just a little longer, but my husband went golfing with my son-in-law today, so I figured I'd get multi-purpose tasks done, or multiple tasks done. So I'm multitasking. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. All right, my other son-in-law, please keep him in your thoughts. He is deployed and won't be back until May. It's mostly training, but it's still in one of those places where you got to worry a little bit. Your mama heart worries when they're gone. My daughter-in-law is doing very good. She's a very well-trained military mom, so she's used to the drill, but trying to give her a little extra support while we're in town before we go back onto our adventures. We also have a grandbaby due next month, so we're excited about that too, which is why we're kind of hanging out in one place for so long. All right, what I'm doing is just adding this layer here for the middle. So let's go ahead and add it to the middle of our card, and it kind of acts as a foundation to layer all the rest of the layers. So I'm going to go ahead and add this on here right in the middle and make sure it's centered. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and work from the inside out. So I'm going to grab this next panel and add a small amount of glue. And now I can kind of look here to see where I want my paper pieces to land. So by starting in the middle, you kind of get a foundation of where to lay everything else. And that's what works for me anyways. That's my tip. And if you have a better way, let me know. I have viewers who let me know how to do things better sometimes. Yes, social media can be very unforgiving at times. Sometimes I get some comments that aren't very nice, but you take it, the good and the bad. It's just the way it is. All right. You can't be thin-skinned when you are on social media, that's for sure. All right, so now I'm going to work on the outside. This is dangerous. Let's do it this way. And I'm just adding. Remember, we have a small little edge. So like I said, if you don't want to add this, you don't have to, but I think it's super pretty. And this is a Christmas card, so I like to be a little extra when I'm doing my Christmas cards. Because everybody on my Christmas card list everybody on my contact list gets a Christmas card, I should say. So I make a lot of Christmas cards. All right. I'm excited though because my oldest daughter, wants to make Christmas cards this year. So we are going to sit down and make Christmas cards, and that's a first ever. She's a busy mama. Her husband's away, deployed, but she needs some me time. So it'll be some fun little girl time for us. All right. And I'm coming up with a card that she can attach a family photo inside, because she usually just sends a photo card. And this year she wants to make a card and add a photo inside. So I think we're going to put some kind of little pocket, some kind of little holder for it. All right, so there are our layers. See how pretty that is? Very glitzy, very glamorous. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and work on the bridge. Putting a little glue. Make sure you don't have glue on your fingers when you're using metallic paper because it does smudge and smear. Like I said, you can wipe it off with rubbing alcohol or, some baby wipe or whatever, but it will smudge and it's annoying. So if you want to avoid that, that's what you do. All right, to attach this, your card will close either like this or like this. Okay, so I usually lay it like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to glue it, and you can glue it wherever you want. I tend to go lower because I want more of this to show. So we're going to be gluing this to this panel and this panel. So you only need about 3/4 of an inch of adhesive on each end because you don't want to go over and get it onto any of the other panels. And this glue is pretty strong, so I don't worry about it. So now I'm going to place this right here. Like so. and then it will stretch to the other end. Okay, give it a good press. Whoops, I did not give it a long enough press. Look at that. Here we go. So give it a good press, give it a second. Sometimes when you're working with metallic paper, because it's shiny, it doesn't stick quite as quickly. But there's our bridge, all right? So now all we have to do is add this piece right here. So I know my glue is only going to go here and here on the back. So I'm just going to put a little glue here and a little glue here, and you should be good to go. Okay. Now if you ever go crazy and get your glue where you don't want it, you can just wipe it off, let it dry, and you'll be fine. So that is where it's going, and then I'm just trying to make sure this little banner is straight, just like so. Look at that. Is that not so adorable? All right, so that's done. So now all we have left is some decorating. So I grabbed this little scrap of ribbon. I feel like this is naked right here. It needs something. So I thought about cutting out one of these little gingerbread men and adding it, but it didn't pop a lot. I felt like it needed something that was cherry cobbler, so that is where this ribbon came in. Now there's also real red inside of this paper, so there's real red and there's crumb cake. So if you don't have this retired product, there is some really pretty real red ribbon available right now, so you can grab that online. And I do have a link to my online store, and anytime you order at least $50 from me, you always get a free gift in the mail. It's usually some kind of product like embellishments or ribbon or something. So please consider me if you order your product. All right, I'm just trying to make this straight. Now that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. This one's a little too long. This takes me forever. Does anybody else have a hard time with bow tying? I swear I need to take a bow tying class. All right, I'm going to look and see which side I like better. I like this side better. So I'm going to add a glue dot. That's kind of my choice for putting on ribbons. And I'm going to pop that there so it no longer looks really empty there. Super cute, right? All right, and then last but not least, we're going to add some of these flower accents because they're gold. They're super pretty. Lots of things would work here. Whatever you have, you could put red embellishments. You could put white. It's clear. Anything gold, though, really, really pops. So I'm just going to add a few right on here, just like so. All right, we're going to put that aside and check out our work. So look at this. Is this not the cutest card? And like I said, there's plenty of room to write your name here. But if you wanted to write a message and make it a little longer, just add those two same panels to the back and you've got plenty of room to write. And then it folds up perfectly. It's flat. This is flat enough, especially with these being flat too, that you probably don't need any extra postage, which is always wonderful. So there is our Christmas card. Let me show you what else I made. So I also did the same thing and made a Thanksgiving card. This is with the Autumn Toile suite of products. So the Amber Autumn stamps are gorgeous. And it took me longer to color in this image than it took to make the whole card. So I used crumb cake again, early espresso, the beautiful Autumn Toile paper, and then I embossed this Mossy Meadow with gold embossing powder. Super, super pretty. And then I added some of this irregular ribbon. These are just little scraps I had. I added 3 of them behind my image. And then that's it. So super pretty. The paper does all the work. So there is my Thanksgiving card. And of course, because Halloween is 2 days away, I knew I needed a couple more to give out to, I want to give one to my next door neighbor who's camping here. He's a really sweet retired veteran. I made this Halloween card. Look how cute. So this little Frankenpup is colored in with Granny Apple Green and Petunia Pop, and it matches the paper. And the dies just did all the work. And as you notice, I didn't put any mats behind this paper. I just popped it right onto the cardstock. This base is Daffodil Delight. So it's a nice, bright, colorful card, and I'll probably add a little piece of candy or whatever when I give it to my neighbor. So super cute way to create a fun little card. And like I said, this is the same exact fold, but you can do so many different things with it, and it'd be great for birthday cards. So this is a go-to card fold, especially if you want to make some quick cards. So don't forget, you can go to the link below and that will take you over to my blog, and I'll have all of the cutting and scoring measurements as well as a list of the products that I used to make these 3 cards. And then also don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't already, and then click the bell so you get a notification of all of my videos. I hope you enjoyed this bridge fold card. I hope it inspired you to make one, and if you haven't made one for a while, maybe this is your sign to go ahead and make one again so that somebody has something beautiful to display during the holiday season. I'm Jill the Wandering Stamper. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye!